Tom stood quietly inside the long metal hallway of Juneau Arc Station. It was his first day on this strange alien base, far away from Earth. The air smelled clean, but it felt heavier than normal. He adjusted the tool belt around his waist and took a deep breath. His job was to repair systems on the outer layers of the station's solar panels. Shield units, coolant pipes, things humans were good at fixing. A round blue light blinked above the door. It opened with a soft hiss. A tall, alien girl stepped inside. Her skin was pale silver. Her eyes were wide, bright, and violet. She wore a thin dark suit that covered her from neck to toe. She moved slowly, but with grace, as if she was always floating. Around her neck was a small glowing device, the Translator. Tom tried not to stare. She looked at him and tilted her head. Then the Translator buzzed and spoke in a soft voice. "Greeting, human. I am Nari. I have been told to work with you." Tom smiled nervously. "Nice to meet you, Nari. I'm Tom." Just as he finished speaking, Nari's hand touched the Translator. It slipped from her fingers and fell to the floor with a light clang. She bent down slowly to pick it up. Tom turned away, not sure where to look. Nari stood back up, holding the small device. "Apology," the Translator said. "It is slippery." "No problem," Tom replied, scratching his head. They walked together through the station, heading to the maintenance bay. Nari's footsteps were light, like she weighed nothing. As they moved, her Translator glitched for a moment. It made a strange buzzing noise, then said, "You smell like warm thunder." Nari blinked. Tom looked confused. "What?" he asked. Nari looked at the device. Wrong phrase. It said quickly, "Translation error. Ignore." Tom laughed a little. "It's okay. My alarm clock says strange things sometimes too." In the maintenance room, tools hung from walls. Machines hummed quietly. A large table in the center showed a map of the station's outer shell. Blinking dots showed damage zones. Their job for the day was simple: fix a jammed solar relay panel. Nari studied the map carefully. She moved her fingers across the panel and zoomed into a part of the station's ring. "You will follow me," her Translator said. Tom nodded. "Lead the way." They put on magnetic boots and walked toward the airlock. While walking, Nari's Translator buzzed again. It slipped and dropped to the floor again. Tom bent to help this time, but Nari already picked it up. "That thing seems ready to quit," Tom said. "It is old," the Translator answered. They stepped into the airlock. The door closed behind them. A second door opened in front, revealing the outside of the station. Space stretched far in all directions. Stars sparkled like tiny diamonds. The solar relay was about 50 steps ahead, stuck and twisted slightly. It looked like it had taken a hit from a small rock or tool. Tom pulled out a wrench. Nari activated her wrist pad and powered down the panel. Together, they started repairs. While they worked, Nari watched him. He was fast with tools, but clumsy with wires. His gloves kept slipping. "You are not trained in wire balance," her Translator said. Tom chuckled. "Yeah, I never won any prizes for being careful." Suddenly, he dropped a metal clip. It bounced and floated slightly. Nari picked it up for him. "Thanks," he said. She didn't reply, but the Translator buzzed again. This time it said something strange. "You make my inside systems feel loud." Tom blinked. "What?" Nari looked at the Translator, then gave Tom a sharp look. "Not correct," it said. "Translator. Broken." Tom tried to hide his smile. "That's okay. It's kind of funny." They kept working. Nari seemed more focused now. She moved quickly, locking panels, fixing circuits. Tom helped where he could. After another 20 minutes, they finished. The solar relay buzzed back to life and rotated slowly toward the nearest sun. Power readings appeared on Nari's wrist pad. "Good job," Tom said. Nari's Translator spoke again. "It is complete. You are skilled." "But strange." Tom raised an eyebrow. "Strange?" "Yes, you talk too much and smile without reason." Tom laughed. "That's just how humans are." They walked back toward the station airlock. Stars behind them glowed brighter now. Once inside, they took off their gear and returned to the main hallway. Tom stretched his arms. That went better than I thought. Nari tilted her head again. You are not like other humans I met. I'll take that as a compliment. She looked at him quietly, then walked away slowly. Tom stood there for a second, thinking about the strange phrases her translator had said. Warm thunder, loud systems. It was probably just old tech. Still, something about her eyes made him wonder. Was it all just a glitch? Or was she trying to say something more? Either way, Tom felt curious, and tomorrow, they were scheduled to work together again. The next morning, Tom walked into the station control room with a cup of hot tea in his hand. He had not stopped thinking about yesterday's strange translator mistakes. He kept replaying the words in his head. Warm thunder. Inside. Systems feel loud. They sounded like errors, but they also felt personal, like feelings trying to come out in the wrong way. He shook his head. Just old tech. He whispered to himself. Inside the room, 4 aliens and 1 human technician. We're already working at the console. The senior engineer, an older Cella male named Jaren, looked up and gave Tom a quick nod. Solar ring status? Tom asked. Stable, said the human. But comms panel outside Zone 6 needs tuning. You and your partner will handle it. Tom didn't ask who his partner was. He already knew. He turned. And there she was. Nari stepped in, wearing the same dark suit as before, but now with a small patch on the side of her arm, her name written in both Cella and human letters. She looked at him with calm eyes and gave a small nod. Ready. Her translator said, a bit sharper than yesterday. They headed down the corridor toward the tool bay. Nari walked beside him silently, her steps as quiet as before. Tom noticed that the translator had been cleaned and looked slightly brighter. Maybe she tried to fix it after yesterday. Inside the bay, Tom picked up a laser spanner, while Nari gathered to power cables, just as they were about to leave. Her translator buzzed and dropped again to the floor with a soft clink. Tom bent forward, but Nari had already bent down slowly to pick it up. For a second, both of them reached at the same time, and their hands brushed against each other. Nari stood straight again and looked away. Tom felt heat rise in his neck. You sure that thing isn't doing it on purpose? He joked. The translator answered, this device only follows hands, not hearts. Tom blinked. What? Nari looked at the translator and sighed. Ignore. Still broken. Tom gave a slow smile. No problem. It's more fun this way. They walked toward the outside platform again. The comms panel was located on the far side of the ring, and they had to take the transport belt, a slow-moving floor that glided through the outer corridor. While they rode it, Nari stood very still, eyes looking forward. Tom tried not to stare, but something about her calm presence made him curious. What does Cella do for fun? He asked. Nari looked at him. The translator clicked. We listen to sound, deep space sound. It helps the mind flow. Like music? Tom asked. More like star breath, the translator replied. He laughed. I gotta hear that sometime. The translator buzzed again. You can when you were ready. Tom looked away, unsure how to respond. They reached the outer access room and suited up. As they stepped onto the outer walkway, the stars opened wide around them again. The comms panel was mounted on a silver rod above the station wall. Nari floated up with her wrist booster and waved at Tom to follow. He reached the panel and began removing the side screws. Nari handed him each tool without asking. She already knew the order. Their rhythm was smooth. Then suddenly, a voice came through Tom's earpiece. It was one of the other engineers. Tom, is she still dropping her translator? Tom laughed into the mic. Yeah, twice already. There was laughter on the other side. Careful, human. That's not nothing. What do you mean? You don't know, another voice said. Among the Cella, when one drops a translator too often near a partner, it can mean something. Tom raised his eyebrow. Mean what? It's like a signal. Trust, maybe more. The voices cut off, leaving Tom in silence. He looked over at Nari, who was now holding a bright cable in both hands, watching him. Her translator buzzed once, but she didn't say anything. Tom finished tuning the panel and closed the side lock. Done. He said, "Comms green." Nari tapped her wrist pad. "Confirmed," the translator replied. They floated back to the walkway and entered the outer door. Inside the decontum chamber, Tom took off his helmet. He turned to her. "Nari," he began. Slowly, "Did you know what the others said?" She didn't reply at first. The translator stayed quiet. Then she picked up the device in her hand, looked at it, and gently set it on the bench beside her. She looked directly at him and spoke without the translator. Her voice was soft and slightly shaky. "Humans speak with face, Sella. Speak with silence. But I try. Your way." Tom stood still. He didn't fully understand her words, but he understood her eyes. There was something more happening here. Not just work. Not just language mistakes. She trusted him. Maybe even liked him. She picked up the translator again and held it close. "I will fix its voice," she said. "But not today." Tom nodded. "That's okay. I think I like your real voice better." Her eyes sparkled just a little. They left the room quietly. But for the first time, Tom felt like someone had spoken to him without saying much at all. And the next time she dropped that translator, he wouldn't assume it was just another mistake. The next days passed quietly on Juneau Arc Station. Tom and Nari kept working together, fixing systems and walking the outer rings of the station. Their teamwork had become smooth, almost perfect. Nari hardly needed to speak. She understood what Tom needed just by watching him. But her translator still made mistakes, sometimes. It said odd things like, "You bring fire to cold circuits," or "Your hands make quiet happen." Each time, Nari would stare at the device, then quickly say, "It is not correct." But Tom had stopped laughing. He was starting to believe something else was going on. Maybe the translator wasn't broken. Maybe it was picking up feelings Nari couldn't say out loud. So Tom had an idea. A small one. A human one. That evening, he sat alone in the repair room. Nari had gone to the water chamber for rest. Her translator lay on the desk. She had left it behind without saying a word. Maybe she trusted him enough to let him fix it, or maybe she wanted him to look at it. Tom took a deep breath and opened the small panel on the back of the device. Inside were thin glowing circuits and a crystal speech core. It was advanced technology, but he had studied alien translation tech during training. He didn't want to change anything serious, just a small adjustment, a harmless joke. He opened a tiny command window and typed a simple line of code into the custom language filter. He saved it and closed the panel. Then he waited. 20 minutes later, the door opened. Nari stepped inside. She looked calm, as always, but her eyes went to the table immediately. She picked up the translator and placed it around her neck. Tom stood up. "I cleaned it," he said. "Should be smoother now." She tilted her head. "Thank you," the translator replied. They had a small task that night, fixing one of the greenhouses. Some of the earth plants inside weren't getting enough light. Nari walked ahead. Tom followed, his heart beating faster than normal. Inside the greenhouse, blue light covered the walls. Vines floated in water tubes. Roots glowed in liquid gel. Nari moved quietly, scanning the light panels. Tom climbed a short ladder and adjusted the angles. Suddenly, the translator buzzed softly. Tom froze. Nari was looking up at him. The translator said, "I like the way you think, warm blood." Silence. Tom held back a smile. That was the line he had added. It was gentle. Not too much, but enough to get her attention. Nari blinked. "That was strange," she said. Tom climbed down slowly. "Strange how it sounded like feeling, but not mine." Tom leaned against the wall. "Maybe it's just learning from you." Nari touched the translator with one hand. "Or learning from you." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then the translator added softly, "Your words left footprints inside." Tom smiled. "That one wasn't me." Nari looked at the device, then at him. Her eyes held a new kind of question. They finished adjusting the greenhouse lights together. Nari worked in silence, but her eyes stayed close to Tom. When they were done, she spoke without the translator again. "I do not understand humans. But I understand, you. Tom swallowed the lump in his throat. I don't understand aliens either. But I like learning. Nari gave a tiny nod. On their way back, they walked slowly. No rush. The hallway lights dimmed round them as the station moved into night cycle. Outside a rest chamber, Nari stopped. She turned to him. Tomorrow. We fix shield coils. Same time? Tom asked. Yes. The translator answered. Then she paused. She reached for the device around her neck and dropped it, on purpose, this time. She didn't bend quickly. She let it fall gently. Then she looked at Tom and gave him a small smile, barely visible, but real. Tom bent down slowly, picked it up, and held it out. Nari didn't take it right away. Do you know, she said softly, what it means? To let another hold your voice? Tom nodded slowly. I think I do now. Nari took the translator back, placed it on the bench beside her, and stepped closer. The air between them felt different. Strange. But not wrong. Tom didn't say anything else. He didn't need to. And neither did she. Somehow, the silence said everything. Tom arrived at the shield coil platform early. He checked the tools twice and adjusted the harness belts. He didn't want to mess anything up today. His hands felt more careful than usual. It wasn't just about work anymore. Something was changing between him and Nari, and he didn't want to ruin it. He looked out the window. Space was calm. The planet below turned slowly, half in night, half in day. The door behind him opened. Tom turned. Nari stepped inside. She was holding her translator in her hand again instead of wearing it. She looked at him and gave a small nod, then placed the device gently on the bench. No translator today. Tom asked. I answered in slow, careful English only, if needed. Tom smiled. I'll try to speak clear. They suited up and walked through the long passage that led to the outer coils. As they moved, Tom noticed the Cella engineers standing nearby. One of them, a female with sharp features and bright red eyes, whispered something to the other. They both looked at Tom, then at Nari. Tom ignored it, or tried to. The outer coils were placed on large mechanical arms that shifted slightly as the station moved. Their job was to align the power routes so the shields could hold steady during small meteor showers. While they worked, Tom explained each step in a calm voice. Nari listened closely and adjusted wires without needing more than a glance. You're getting faster. Tom said, You teach in simple ways, she replied in her soft English. They smiled. But as they finished the second coil, a voice crackled through the radio in Tom's earpiece. It was the female Cella engineer from earlier. Human, she said coldly. Does she drop her translator in front of you every day now? Tom paused. Sometimes. There was silence for a moment. Did she choose you? The voice asked. Tom blinked. What do you mean? Never mind. The voice ended quickly. Tom lowered his tools. His mind spun. Chosen. What was that supposed to mean? He looked at Nari. She had stopped moving. She had heard it too. Nari, he said slowly, what does it mean? To drop the translator. She didn't speak right away. He stepped closer. I need to understand. Is it just a habit? Or something else? Nari looked down at the coil, then back at him in Cella ways. She began. Voice is private. Machine gives voice to outsiders. When one drops it, many times, in front of same person, it shows trust. Tom stayed quiet. Nari continued. If dropped on purpose, it means, I want you to hear me. Not machine. Just me. Tom's heart beat faster. And when it's dropped again and again, it means more, Nari whispered. They stood in silence above the turning planet. Tom looked into her eyes. So when you dropped it yesterday and didn't pick it up right away, I chose you, she said softly. Tom smiled. I'm honored, really. But just as he was about to say more, the airlock door opened. The same red-eyed Cella girl stepped inside the outer platform. She moved fast, her tone sharp. You shouldn't play with human ways, she said to Nari. Tom looked at her. Excuse me? The Cella girl ignored him. You show him our signs. But he doesn't know their weight. I'm trying to learn, Tom said. And she's not playing. Nari stepped forward. Her voice was calm. I chose freely. That is not our way, the girl said. Scylla paired by guidance, not by accident. You forget your path. I know my path, Nari replied. Tom watched them. He could feel the tension in the air. It wasn't about rules, it was about pride. The Scylla girl didn't like the idea of someone from another world being part of their deeper ways. She's not a child, Tom said. She can speak for herself. The red-eyed girl gave him a sharp look. And you, human, do you know what it means to be chosen? I'm learning, he said. Then learn this if you accept. You become part of her bond. That is not a small thing. I didn't come here for games, Tom said firmly, and she didn't ask me to. The girl stared at him, then turned and walked away. Silence filled the platform. Tom turned back to Nari. I didn't mean to cause problems. You didn't, she said. But I don't want you to be in trouble because of me. Nari looked at him carefully and said away. Challenge brings truth. Now, they see my choice is not weak. Tom felt a little lost, but he trusted her words. I want to keep learning, he said. But only if you want me to. Nari gave a soft smile. I do. They returned to the station slowly. No words were needed for the rest of the shift, but something had changed. The misunderstanding had opened a door. And on the other side, trust waited. The next day was quiet on Juno Arc Station. No alarms, no broken systems, just soft lights, steady air, and the hum of machines working properly. Tom sat alone in the garden module, watching the glow roots sway gently inside the water tanks. Plants from different worlds grew here, some with long blue vines, others with golden leaves that moved on their own. It was peaceful, but Tom's mind was not. He kept thinking about what Nari had said. I chose you, and the words from the Scylla girl. If you accept, you become part of her bond. Tom wasn't scared, but he didn't want to pretend either. He wanted to be honest with himself and with Nari. He heard the door slide open behind him. Nari walked in, holding her translator in one hand. She looked around the garden for a moment, then came and sat on the bench beside him. She didn't speak, neither did he. They sat together in silence, listening to the soft bubbling of the water tanks. Finally, Tom turned to her. Nari, I need to ask you something. She looked at him, eyes calm. I'm just a mechanic, he said. I fix wires. I make jokes. I spill tea on my shirt sometimes. Nari tilted her head slightly, waiting. I'm not special. But this, Tom said, pointing gently between them, feels like it means something. And I want to be clear. Are we just working partners? Or are we something more now? Nari placed the translator on her lap and spoke without it. I do not drop my voice. For working partners? Tom gave a soft smile. That's what I thought. She continued slowly, choosing each word. You listen with care. You do not speak too much. You fix small things, but see big ones. Tom's smile grew. That's the nicest thing anyone said about me. Nari lowered her eyes for a moment. Do you accept my bond? Tom's chest felt tight. Not in a bad way, just full. I don't know all the rules, he said honestly. I don't know your ways, but I want to learn them. And I want to learn you. She looked at him again, her violet eyes shining just a little. That is enough, she said. Tom reached out and touched her hand lightly. At first, she flinched, then she relaxed. It's a human way, he said. Touch means closeness. Nari nodded. In Scylla way, touch comes after trust. Then we're doing this right. They sat for a while longer. No pressure. No need to fill the air with words, just presence. But their quiet moment was broken when the station lights blinked red. A low alarm sounded. Through the walls. Tom stood up fast. That's a shield warning. Nari grabbed her translator. Meteor cloud. I hope it's small, Tom said. They ran to the control bay. Inside, screen showed the source of the trouble, a small debris cloud had entered the station's outer zone. Not big enough to destroy anything, but enough to shake the shield generators. The system was trying to shift power, but one of the shield coils, Zone 9, was frozen, stuck between commands. We have to go fix it manually, Tom said. JERN, the senior engineer, nodded. Take someone who knows your rhythm. Tom turned to Nari. Let's go. They suited up fast and moved through the lower passage. The meteor cloud had already passed the outer ring, but fragments still floated nearby if one hit the station. While the coil was frozen, it could tear a small hole, and one hole was all it took to lose oxygen or power outside. The stars looked sharp and cold. Tom and Nari floated down to the coil using their wrist boosters. The frozen panel blinked red. Sparks flickered from the side. I'll reroute the fuse, Tom said. Can you open the cover? Nari didn't answer with words. She just moved out in perfect sync. They unlocked the shield unit, adjusted the relay, and redirected power. Tom's hands worked fast, but steady. Nari didn't need instructions. She knew what he needed before he said it. Minutes passed. Then the red light turned green. Done, Tom said. But just as they started pulling back, a sharp metal fragment flew toward the station wall. It bounced off the shield, but the force made Tom twist in midair. He lost control and started drifting. Nari launched forward and grabbed his wrist with both hands. The translator buzzed. Hold on. I won't let go. Tom held tight. I trust you. She pulled him back slowly toward the walkway. The station wall was smooth under their boots. They locked their feet and stood still. Tom was breathing hard, not from fear but from the rush. You saved me, he said. You saved me first, Nari replied. When you listened. They floated back to the airlock. Inside, the silence felt warm. They removed their helmets. Tom looked at her. She looked back. Then she reached up and took off the translator. She didn't drop it this time. She let it float away gently. It drifted across the room like a small glowing leaf. Tom's eyes widened. You sure? Nari nodded. I have your voice now. I want no machine between. Tom smiled. The kind of smile that didn't need a translator. The next morning, the station was calm again. Soft blue lights glowed on the ceiling. The air moved gently through the vents. Tom stood near the food unit, holding a hot mug of tea. He kept thinking about the translator floating away the day before. It felt like a small thing, but for Nari, it meant a lot. No machine between them. Just voice. Just eyes. Just truth. He smiled to himself and took a sip. Nari entered the room without making a sound. She wore her regular dark suit, but the translator was gone. Her hands were empty, and her walk was calm. She stood beside Tom and looked at the window in front of them. Outside, the stars still danced across space. Tea? Tom asked, raising the mug. Nari nodded slowly. Warm scent, feels safe. He handed her the mug. She took it, holding it carefully. They didn't need to speak more, but peace didn't last. A loud alarm suddenly echoed across the station. WOOO-WOO, where lights blinked along the walls. A voice came over the speakers. Emergency. Outer shell damage. Docking ring 4. All units respond. Tom placed the mug on the table fast. Nari gave a sharp nod and followed him to the main control bay. Inside, Jaren stood by the console. With several others, a cargo ship lost control while docking, Jaren said. It hit the ring and damaged the stabilizer arm. The station is tilting. Tom looked at the display. The whole outer ring had shifted by a few degrees. If it kept tilting, the gravity field would go off balance. People could fall. Systems could break. We need to push the stabilizer arm back into position, Jaren said, manually. Tom already knew who would go. Nari, and I will do it, he said. Jaren nodded. You'll have 5 minutes before the pressure field gets too strong. They suited up again. No time for fear. No time for questions. Tom checked the toolkit. Nari adjusted her wrist booster. You ready? He asked. She looked him in the eyes. Always. They moved through the emergency shaft, sliding down toward docking ring 4. The tilt was worse here. They had to walk sideways along the wall. Tools rattled in the racks. A small box floated past them. Outside, the broken arm of the station stuck out like a bent finger. The cargo ship that hit it was now floating far away. Small pieces of metal drifted around them like slow silver birds. Let's move, Tom said. Nari launched first, gliding toward the damaged beam. Tom followed. They reached the outer clamp. It was twisted, locked halfway. The power lines were still live. One wrong move could shock them both. Nari pulled a manual rod from her pack and slid it into the joint. Tom took the other side and connected a pressure wrench. He pushed hard, then stopped. It's jammed. Needs a double pull. Without speaking, Nari moved closer and placed her hands beside his. They pulled together. Slowly, the beam started to shift. Suddenly, a sharp crack rang out. A bolt snapped from the base of the clamp. It flew past Tom's helmet, missing by only a few inches. Tom's suit warning light blinked. Small tear, right shoulder, he said calmly. I have 2 minutes. Nari didn't panic. She moved fast, pulled a seal patch from her belt, and pressed it over his suit. The blinking stopped. You're getting too good at this, Tom said with a short breath. You get hurt. I fix you, she replied. They turned back to the arm. Tom adjusted the wrench again. I'm 3. 1. He said. 2. She said. 3. They pulled. The stabilizer arm snapped back into place with a loud click. Power lights along the beam turned green. Tom's radio beeped. Jaren's voice came through. Stabilizer realigned. Balance restored. Good work, both of you. Return quickly. Pressure. Field rising. Nari nodded and pushed away from the arm. Tom followed, but his leg strap caught a small hook. He spun once in the air, losing control. He tumbled toward the station wall. Nari, he called out, but she was already coming. She twisted midair, reached him fast, and locked her arms round his chest. Together, they slowed down and floated. Back toward the docking gate, inside the airlock, alarms faded. They removed their helmets. Tom looked at her, breathing hard. That's twice you've saved me. Nari looked at him. That is what bond means. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Jaren entered the room. He looked at the two of them carefully. You do work better than anyone else on the station, he said. But now, the crew knows something more is happening. Tom stayed still. Nari did not hide. Jaren stepped closer and said, You dropped the translator and never picked it up. Nari nodded. I did. Jaren looked at Tom. You understand what that means now? Tom nodded. Yes, and I accept it. Jaren studied them both, then slowly smiled. Then let it be known. She chose. You accepted. From today, the station recognizes your bond, not just as workers but as trusted pair. Nari's eyes softened. Tom felt a weight lift off his chest. It wasn't about the translator anymore. It was about action, choice, and understanding. Outside the window, stars turned slowly. Calm had returned, but something new had begun. It had been 5 days since the crisis above the station. The docking ring was repaired. The systems were stable again. Life on Juno Arc had returned to its quiet routine. But something was different now. Everyone noticed the way Tom and Nari walked. Together, they didn't hold hands, and they didn't speak much in public. But their silence said everything. There was a calmness between them, a silent understanding that no machine could ever translate. Tom now worked in the central systems room. He had been given more trust, more responsibility. His suggestions were listened to. His tools were requested by name. Even the senior crew respected his voice now. Nari continued working on the outer tech teams, and she was training to new cell workers. She taught them how to follow rhythm, how to balance motion in space, and how to listen with more than just ears. One evening, after completing his shift, Tom walked to the garden module. He found Nari already there, sitting near the glowing water vines. She was wearing a light gray tunic instead of her work suit. It was the first time he had seen her out of uniform. She looked peaceful. Tom sat beside her. He didn't say anything for a moment, just listened to the slow bubbles and watched the soft moving leaves. Finally, he spoke. Do you miss your home, Nari? Turned her head slightly. Home is not always a place. Tom nodded. Is it me? Am I home now? Nari didn't answer right away. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small silver crystal. It was shaped like a soft triangle, smooth and warm-looking. She held it out to him. This is the token, she said. In cellular culture, it is offered when bond becomes full. Tom took it gently and studied it. It's beautiful. It means I offer you part of my voice. You carry it. You speak with it. Tom looked at her, his voice low. What happens if I lose it? You cannot lose it, she said, because it is not just in your hand. It is now part of your life. Tom held the token tightly. Then I'll carry it with me always. She smiled a real, full smile. Not just with her lips, but with her eyes too. They sat in silence again. But this time, it was a warm silence, not an empty one. Later that night, a small celebration was held in the main hall of the station. It wasn't a big event, just a simple crew gathering. For completed missions and new pairings. Lights were soft, music played quietly in the background. Food from 5 planets was served in small glowing bowls. Tom stood near the wall, holding a cup of star juice. Jaren, the senior engineer, approached him. You've changed. Jaren said. Tom raised an eyebrow. How so? You used to walk fast. Now you walk steady. You used to talk too much. Now you choose your words. Tom smiled. Maybe I'm just tired. Or maybe, Jaren said, you've learned what true listening means. Tom nodded. She taught me. Jaren looked across the room. Nari was standing near the window, speaking to the New Cella crew. Her posture was calm. Her words were soft, even without a translator. She changed you, Jaren said. No, Tom replied. She reminded me who I could be. A short bell sound rang in the room. It was the crew's way of asking for attention. Nari stepped forward and raised her hand slightly. I wish to speak, she said. Everyone looked at her. No translator. Just her voice. She spoke slowly, carefully, but clearly. I came to this station to work, to fix broken metal, to learn Earth tools. I did not come to bond. But life speaks in ways we do not plan. She looked at Tom. I found a human who dropped jokes and picked up truth. He saw me, not as Cella, but as person. I dropped my translator. He lifted my meaning. Some people in the room smiled. Some were silent. But all were listening. I speak now without machine. Because this station, this crew, and this human gave me the space to be real. Tom stepped forward. I came here with a toolbox, he said. Now I carry something more. He held up the silver crystal Nari had given him. This is voice. This is trust. And I'll never treat it like just another thing in my pocket. The room gave a soft clap, not loud like Earth applause, but the Cella way, pressing to fingers, to their chests in quiet honor. The music started again. People returned to their food, their talk, their laughter. Tom walked toward Nari. Did I say the right words? He asked. She smiled. You said the real ones. They walked side by side to the window. Outside, space stretched forever. Stars turned. Slow and endless. Tom looked at her and said, You know, I've been thinking. Dangerous. She said softly. He laughed. Yeah, but maybe one day you can visit Earth. I'll show you trees, oceans, my dog. Well, I had a dog. He's old now. I will like that, she said. I'll need a translator, though. Tom joked. Humans don't speak with eyes like Cella do. She placed her hand gently on his. Then I will teach them, and with that simple touch, a new chapter began. Not just between a human and an alien girl, but between two voices, from two worlds. Who no longer needed machines to understand each other.